How has your own college experience informed your work innovating higher education?
I went to Carnegie Mellon. I got an undergraduate degree in industrial design, double major in human computer interaction, and then a master's in human computer interaction, which is sort of like CS in psychology and statistics. And CMU is sort of your standard private university, but it's also, there's nothing standard about it. It's a whole bunch of like extremely motivated, driven people, super smart. And, I was vastly overshadowed by the other people that went there. I spent an awful lot of my undergraduate time whining about how bad the program was, publicly and loudly. And in retrospect, I was completely wrong. It was actually an extraordinary program, so much so that I've based a lot of my program on it. But there's also all sorts of things that are wrong with structured higher education, like first the cost. I mean, I went to school, I don't know how many years ago, close to 20, and I think it cost $80,000 then. And so I can only imagine that a degree from that school is like, $250,000 at this point. Even if it's worth it, it's not worth it. And so, that's a big change that we've made. Austin Center for Design is affordable on purpose. It's still a lot of money. It's $12,000. But that's approximately what a state school would cost you for in-state tuition. So the cost is an issue. The accessibility of professors both was and wasn't an issue when I was in school. Some professors were extraordinarily accessible, and others came, did their thing, and left. So I've gone out of my way to have faculty that are always there so that it's not a hit or miss. Small class size, like we had 40 industrial designers, I want to say. Maybe I might be wrong, but it feels like that's a right number, and that's huge. Even half of that, if I might be combining the two programs, even if it's half of that, it's still huge. We have 11 students right now at Austin Center for Design, and that's probably too big. The right number is probably 10. Because you just can't possibly spend enough meaningful side-by-side connection time working through a design problem together with that many people. The idea of autonomy. I mean, I think a lot of my frustration when I was in undergrad were rules. I mean, I don't do well with rules anyway. And the idea that you're going to be in a program that's trying to encourage freedom of thought and, out of the box thinking and things like that. And then to have any sort of rules at all sort of seemed like a shot, like a sort of flip idea. So, I've tried to minimize the number of explicit rules that there are at Austin Center for Design, and I trust the students to do the right thing. And sometimes, that isn't the case, and we deal with it. But if you treat students like they're your colleagues, you get a very different, and I think much more positive response than if you treat them like they're your students. I expect the highest caliber work from my colleagues, and I expect the highest caliber work from my students. I'm also not naive enough to expect them to deliver it right away, right? They don't know how. So the expectation can be there, but you also have to sort of backfill the skills, the theory, the philosophy. So I suppose there are pieces of my own education that I'm trying to fix. But in terms of core curriculum, I learned a ton at CMU in the design program. I mean, Dick Buchanan, who was running the program there, shaped a lot of the ways that I think about design education. And then on the other side of things, Herb Simon was over in the computer science program when I was there, and that completely colored a lot of the ways that I think about technology. The two are not necessarily harmonious, right? And so, my own sort of worldview around the role of design and technology and culture is sort of shaped by those two competing forces.